Okay, Jimmy, you got us on record.
Ready when you are.
Ready when I am. Okay, well, I've just put the 7 o'clock. So I will call this meeting to order of the Sunday County Commissioners for December 7th, 2020. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the
to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all.
Thank you. Commissioner Paradiso, would you please start us out with a prayer? You're on mute, Tony. Tony, you're on mute.
Silent prayer.
Tony, you are on mute.
I think he may be having connection issues. Okay, there he is.
When the flag went away, I disappeared. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Dear Father, on this annual recollection of the Pearl Harbor tragedy, we pray for thy benign blessings and guidance. Enable us to reflect clearly and consciously upon our priceless heritage. May those brave souls who still remain here with us feel today your hand of favor and strength. In the last years here on earth, give them renewed hope and an awareness of our gratitude for their bravery and sacrifice. May we never forget them. May you honor them according to the grace you gave in those days and according to their response to that grace, now and then. In Jesus' name we pray.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. All right. We will suspend the reading of the minutes. I will first start out with roll call. Nikki, please.
Commissioner Kirschner,
Here.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Here.
Commissioner Thomas.
Here.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank everyone for coming this evening. Hopefully everyone is here with an open mind. The purpose of the meeting is to talk about the future of emergency medical services throughout Seneca County. Our only wish, and when I say our, I'm speaking on behalf of Commissioner Thomas and Commissioner Paradiso, is that we are able to assist anyone in need in Seneca County in a reasonable amount of time with professional assistance. That's the end game. That's the goal. We want to make certain that that happens in each and every instance. We want to help. We want to thank you all at this point in the beginning for all that you've done. All the volunteers, all the folks that have worked years and years, all the paid staff. Our only purpose is to make certain that we are as good as we can possibly be. And we're asking you to help us attain that goal. This has been a matter of discussion for since the time that I've been commissioner, which is now 6 years. We really need to try to bring this thing to some type of a conclusion that is a good solution for all of us in Seneca County. So that is the spirit by which I hope that we have conversations tonight. I appreciate all the input. I know there's going to be disagreements, and I'm glad to talk through those. We are all glad to talk through those. And I want to extend a special thanks to Ken Majors for a lot of work that he's done with this, and to Stacy Wilson as well, and my fellow commissioners. Most recently, Tony is working very hard with it. Shane has been involved from day one, and they all have a kind heart as it relates to the administration of good emergency services for everyone in Seneca County. So with that, I would like Ken Majors to kind of update us and kind of give us a quick overview of where we're at, what the numbers look like, and just some basic information so we can get started. Ken, if you would, please.
Off mute. All right. I'm going to echo what Commissioner Paradiso said 79 years ago today. 2,400 naval personnel lost their lives, 1,200 wounded, and 6 career firefighters on the Honolulu Fire Department died to fighting the fires and the destruction that happened during Pearl Harbor. Enough of that history. We won't forget it. It's one of those things that'll live with you forever. 42 years ago, we started Seneca County EMS as a 5-squad, all volunteer ambulance service. And within a couple of years, we had 7 total squads. It was fully volunteer, and it did very well for many years. And the volunteers have put their heart and their soul into this system. And we, as the county, have been supporting them in that endeavor and doing our best to keep up with the compliance and the healthcare compliance rules that are out there. Some of the stories from days gone by, I was just sharing one with Judge Kelbley, the way things were then is completely different than the way it is today. In 2007, I was hired here, and in 2008, we began the discussion of how we could be more efficient and more sustainable. And in 2008, we wrote the original 4-squad operational plan that moved forward with the county. It was introduced, it was discussed. And then in 2010, that discussion was tabled due to lack of funding and the cost. It was cost prohibitive. They revisited this same plan again in 2013, and we were discussing the possibility of adding joint ambulance districts at that time. And by the end of 2015, we had 5 joint ambulance districts formed, and we were seeing a little bit of success there. And in some of the districts, we saw quite a bit of success. But I think what we've learned from that, like I said, in 2015, since then, it's been 5 years and we've moved on and paid attention, crunched the numbers, looked at the data, and we've determined that the joint ambulance district concept is a very good one, and it is generating the funding that is necessary to help us move forward with EMS. However, to continue with volunteers, we would need an influx of more volunteers than are being available. So at the last time I showed you the PowerPoint situation, we showed the steady decline of volunteers from 160 in 2008 to 140 in 2014, and down to 75 or 80 now. And activity of those 75 or 80, only 40 to 50 personnel are actually doing the bulk of the work, which isn't unusual in any organization, but in a volunteer organization, it really puts a burden on some folks. So now what we're moving forward again with the same 4-squad operational model, and we've augmented it and we've changed it a little bit. And we've actually got real hard data now. 5 years of doing this has given us the benefit of having real numbers, so we know what we're dealing with as far as funding. And make no mistake about it, all of the money I'm talking about is taxpayer money, all of it. Whether it comes from LGF funding, which comes down through the county, or if it comes from sales tax revenue from general fund, or if it comes from joint ambulance district tax levies on property, all of that is taxpayer money. And so here we are in 2020, costs are increasing, personnel needs are increasing, run volume is increasing. We've got a global pandemic that we're fighting. And what we need to do is the same thing we needed to do in 1978, is build a sustainable long-term EMS system that's viable in the county for the next 40 to 50 years. And I think the plan that we've got takes that into account, and it also highlights where we should do it geographically based on the numbers and expert opinion from a study that we had accomplished in 2017, all the way through several different experts that we've brought in from the Ohio EMS chiefs, several Ohio fire chiefs, and a lot of very smart people that put their heads into this. And we now have real hard numbers, and we know what it's going to cost. We don't necessarily like that number, but that's what it is. And we know that. And we are starting this discussion trying to find a way to get there. And that's the gist of it.
Okay. Mike? I'll pick up where Ken left off, if that's okay.
Sure.
I welcome everybody. I think it's, I want to get a few things out on the table so we're all on the same page. This is the first meeting with the commissioners and the joint districts of what we hope to be a fluid, ongoing communication process. We would like to set up monthly meetings for a while. We are approaching this as commissioners. This is something that's a difficult project. It's a difficult discussion, but one that needs to happen, and it's a priority for all the commissioners. So we're here to help be part of the stability and the solution in the county. I see Judge Kelbley's on as a guest. The backdrop in the state of Ohio with county EMS is really loose. The county commissioners are not required by law to provide EMS service, and your districts that you now represent are the same. So we're all here because we care about our county. We know there's a need for it, and we're trying the best we can to economically provide that good service that we all want and expect in our county. So we're not here to tell anybody how to do it, but we're here to help. And then for us, that starts tonight. We have an idea or two we'd like to throw out as a starting point. We're very, very interested in all the members commenting, giving us your input, your thoughts, some Q&A. And then at the end of this meeting, we will discuss a follow-up meeting and then topics that we can advance forward that we need to answer at the next meeting. So with that, the commissioners, up until now, it's very obvious among everyone on the call that we're providing the vehicles and the equipment out throughout the county at our cost, and that the districts are providing the labor. And that's been well documented, and it's worked very well to date. I think we all agree looking forward, and we're talking 2021 as commissioners, and then beyond that, that we're on a slippery slope. So what can we do that as commissioners, what can we offer the districts at this point? How can we support Ken? How can we move the dial and maybe make a difference as we all very nervously and very skeptically, discuss how we might go forward. We all want to do this, and I'm not sure there's one answer how to get there, but back to Ken's point, I think, the long-term big picture goal is to be real efficient and to at some point have a comprehensive county plan. Now, how that looks, we're going to talk about that ongoing. So the first thing the commissioners discussed over the last month or so was setting aside some dollars, and we're willing to put some money up and hire some personnel. Now, we understand this is maybe not as simple as it sounds to us, so that's where we want you to join in. But we've looked at a number somewhere, the cost of 4 full-time people, the number's around $300,000. we're willing, Ken's willing to hire these people. But we don't want to do it if it doesn't make any sense. And how it makes sense to us is we would go back to the districts and then make these full-time people available to the districts at a cost to be utilized to help the districts fill in some unserved slots and times. This would begin to support, the volunteer system that we have, and it would help stabilize especially some areas throughout the county. There's risk involved, there's pros and cons, but this is what we'd like to talk about today because we're prepared to move forward if you're prepared to work with us. So it's a two-way street. If you think this is dead on arrival and nobody wants to use the people, then, we'll have that discussion. So I'll pause and see if Commissioner Kirschner first and Commissioner Thomas, if you want to add anything, and then maybe we could open it up for some Q&A and kind of see if we can get more specific.
I mean, the thing that I would add at this point, Tony, is that all the districts are at a different point as it relates to abilities to make calls. All the districts are at a different point as it relates to being able to fund their specific ambulance districts. And we know that going in, but we need full cooperation of every district if we can get it to utilize those folks that we propose to hire and to share the costs with all the ambulance districts. Shane?
Yeah, I guess I just add that, any contemplated relationship change would be mutual, that, it's free will. And, but in order to move forward, there are going to be some different requirements that go with utilizing our personnel, and part of that scheduling, and we're going to have to schedule people, and that's going to be challenging. And so we need to get 45 days out on draft schedule, 30 days on a firm schedule, something like that, in order to make it work for everybody. And but if it's not something that someone's interested in, that particular component doesn't need to be.
Shane, your audio kind of cut out there. Okay. All right. So
go ahead, Mike.
So the first question out there, I guess, in order to get the discussion going, is if I could hear from each person from each of the ambulance districts that are on the call today to tell us whether or not they think they might utilize some help that if we would put 4 full-time people on, how often they think they might be able to utilize them, and would they be willing to reimburse the county all or some of the expense that the county will incur by hiring these folks. So it's up to you guys if you want to start. Who's the bravest one out there? Don't forget to unmute yourself. This is everybody was in the Army. Nobody wants to volunteer, right?
Yeah, this is Scott Harrison.
Yes.
From the Bettsville, Mayor of Bettsville, of the JLB. I'm open to supporting the county on this position. I think. I know Tony was at our meeting the other day, and we kind of talked over the kind of what your thought process was, and I'm kind of open to that. The support for our weak times when we have support or not enough support for to keep the ambulance in service. So I'm open in that respect. I don't know how much money this is all going to cost us and everything. We got to figure all that stuff out. But I think it makes sense to us. But I'm just concerned about our area of the township and the county here, that we get service over here, and we can take care of Jackson and Liberty and Bettsville in this area as best we can. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Do you have any idea or any sense as how often you may think you need to have somebody fill in?
We kind of thought, maybe, that's like our Friday evenings are our worst areas. So maybe 4 times a month or something, somewhere in that area. But we need to figure out the time slots for sure. But that seems to be our weakness area right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. I'm Andrew Rickner. How you guys doing?
Good.
I'm with
Thanks, Andrew.
NBS. I'm with NBS Joint Ambulance, and we are definitely interested. Well, the kind of personnel we're looking for would be two 12 hours per week or 1 24-hour per week.
Good, thank you. Thank you for that.
Do you have quarters at NBS? You don't, do you?
Not for 24 housing, no.
Okay.
We could easily do that. I think we have the capability to do that.
Okay.
Anybody from Bascom want to speak?
Yeah, Tony mentioned the dentist. We're trying to pull some teeth here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jim Klaus?
Hi, Jim Klaus from Bascom.
Hi, Jim.
We would like to utilize a person maybe 12 hours a week. I'm here at Hopewell Township House with 2 other board members, so like maybe 12 hours once a week. I guess it depends on if we lose any of our people to the county district, to how many people that we're going to need weekly. And I guess we're not sure how far ahead of time we have to schedule those people.
Well, Ken, why don't you jump in on that?
Sure. I think, first of all, I think we're way down in the weeds a lot further than I anticipated us getting tonight. I thought we were going to talk about numbers and high level stuff. So, because basically what it is at this point, we don't know exactly what the weeds are going to look like until we know who the players are. The reason I came up with the 4-squad model, even 10 years ago, 13 years ago, was because at any given time, like right now, for example, we have 4 squads in service in this county. About 90% of the time, we have 4 squads in the service in the county. About 10%, I'd say about 5% of the time, we have less than 4 squads, sometimes 3, even at times 2, and we've even had 1 at times. Most of the time, though, we have 4, and very rarely, and it's only for hours at a time, we have 5. If there is a time when we have 6 squads in service, I will send all of you a text message, because that doesn't happen very often. So what I mean by that, and operationally, how this is going to work is any number of hundreds of different operational models that we could push forward. My original plan that was published in August is to immediately and as soon as possible get a full-time ambulance service, full-time crew on the east side of the county. The logical spot to put that would be directly in the center of the response area on the east side, which would be somewhere near Republic, not necessarily in Republic, but that's where we have a station. So Republic would be the ideal spot. In order to do that operationally, we would need a schedule, like exactly as Shane said, 45 days in the rough draft, and then in 30 days it needs to be finalized, because we do need to comply with scheduling regulations of the federal law for employees. And when we're scheduling people that are either 24, 48s, or if we're going to work on 12-hour shifts, most people would like to know, in order to have a work-life balance, you want to be able to know whether or not you're working on Christmas Day before December 23rd. So we need to have that at least 30 days in advance. And that once it's published, that's locked in there. And that's where we put our personnel that we utilize that are going to be paid. So ideally, we would have a paid unit on the east side and 1 paid unit on the west side, knowing very full well that we have a very well-staffed squad in Bascom and another very well-staffed squad in New Riegel. that gives us the 4 squads that we're looking for. Now, you haven't heard me say anything about Attica or Betsville. Well, those are the squads that are needing the personnel the most. So if we can service that area with a paid or fully compensated squad on the west side, as long as it's in a response area that is within 10 minutes to that area, our overall goal always has been since 2007, and even long before that, before I ever got here, is to have an ambulance to the caller within 10 minutes of the time of call. We do that occasionally, but right now we're in the 13 to 14 minute range. And there's going to be some outliers that are in the very far corner reaches of the county that may be in that 12 to 13 minute response time. Now, from personal experience, I can tell you, our echo paramedic just 2 shifts ago made it from public safety to the corner of County Road 58 and State Route 4, which is the far reach of our district, in 17 minutes. So that is a challenge, but it is doable from a central location within the county. Ideally, we should have 1 full-time squad on the east and 1 full-time squad on the west, and then the other 2 augmented volunteer squads in Bascom and New Regal. I'm trying to track, I'm sorry, just talking out of my head. So that would be the ideal thing. So the answer to the question of scheduling is we're going to change now from 2 days a week, having to have the schedule to us by 3 o'clock on Friday and 3 o'clock on Monday, to having the squad have a schedule 45 days in advance to us. And then for the 2 weeks leading up to the 30 days prior to the schedule start, having the ability to make some changes as necessary. So for an example, if we're going to schedule for January 1, on November 15th, I needed the schedule to start working on that. And then on December 1, that schedule is finalized for January 1, if that makes sense. That's traditionally the way EMS services around the country do it. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm just trying to make the wheel work here. And that is probably the best way to do it. That's also the way we did it at Lifelight when I worked there for 13 years. So
Well, I'm gonna interrupt you, Ken, in the spirit of
please do.
going back to the question. I mean, I think we did want to get in the weeds. Where the 3 commissioners are at, we're in the budget cycle right now for next year.
So we should share that document.
We've instructed you to gather resumes and consider hiring some people. So what I want to do tonight is talk to the people on the call and get a sense of would they use these people? Maybe we need no people, maybe we need 4, maybe we need 2, I don't know. I'd like to get an idea, pros and cons, and then we could vet this out. And then at our next meeting, early January, come up with the weeds and the numbers and that kind of thing. But tonight is, immediately, this is something the commissioners have discussed doing, and I'd like to get the people's feeling on that.
Right. I agree. So what we need to know is buy-in, and I think we need to share the numbers with folks so they can understand what that is.
So right now, we've got New Riggle and Bascom, Betsville are interested. Anybody else want to make any comments?
Hi, gentlemen. This is Adam Lutz from Bloom Scipio Joint Ambulance District.
Hi, Adam.
How are you?
Hi, Adam.
So we currently are in the works with Attica Venice Reed on a merger of the 2 ambulance districts. Looking at our coverage numbers, Bloom Scipio has been covered nearly 100% of the time the past year. But I think we're in a very fluid situation with the addition of the number of runs with Attica Venice Reed. So I think that it's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. But that's kind of where we stand right now.
Okay.
Do you see the need or the benefit of some bolstered paid staff from the county, Adam?
Yeah, I have a little bit of a background in EMS service, and I really appreciate the opportunity to have some full-time staffing at our fingertips. I think right now there might be some areas in the county that could use it a little more, but I also see that the districts kind of cycle through. And I would almost anticipate that we would have some need, maybe not in the very near future, but within maybe 5 years. But I would really like to see this plan continue forward as Ken has presented.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you,
very
Adam.
much. Yeah, do we have a document that, Tony, you feel comfortable sharing at this point as it relates to numbers?
Well, we have some costs that we worked out, what it would cost to hire 4 people. I think I just want to add that the districts have a tax base. All 5 of you districts have a tax levy and income, and all 5 districts have money in the bank, and all 5 districts at various times are short personnel. So I would like to see the 5 districts support this and give it a chance, whether it's whatever it is to help us get off and work together. Now, what the final cost would be, we haven't determined that yet, but it's obviously predicated on the need and who's going to use it. And then Ken, I think, you do have weeds that we need to discuss were we to move forward with this. There's a lot of moving parts because these people would work for you. Back to your point, Jim, I think you were a little concerned, we're going to open this up. If we hire 4 people, they could be current volunteers in the system. We don't know that, it's a free country. So that causes other issues. But as commissioners, we feel strongly we want to help and we want to try to show leadership and do something here, but very calculated. So all in, it's about $36 an hour to hire somebody with all the benefits, retirement, full-time. That's the kind of number we've come up with. And, Shane, if you want to make any comments, or Mike, on that, I think that's what it would be for us to hire 4 people, which we've discussed doing.
Yeah, all I would say, Tony, is this is new. This is a new concept, and it's new to everyone here. So, we want to see proof of concept. The commissioners have limited resources. The townships have limited resources. The joint districts have limited resources. So working together with one another, we're willing to take some of this risk, but we're going to need to share the cost. But, we need proof of concept first. And, this is a lot of this goes into trying to find ways to support and augment our current volunteer basis. We appreciate everything they do. And, if we can get them some relief and we can unlock, some revenue for them, then I think everybody will be happier and healthier. So, the cost is what it is. I don't think anybody's surprised by that. Employees are expensive. And that's just a testament to, the work that the volunteers have done for their community.
This is going to be a total of 4 full-time people, or I know Pleasant and Adams are going to need more than that to be able to run. Is
Yes.
this besides them?
Jim, I'd like to answer your question this way, if I may. And then, as always, either commissioner can jump in. So we've discussed this. There are 5 districts, and if you count Adams, Pleasant, and Green Springs, we could possibly have 6 districts. We count them as a ad hoc district. What we're discussing today is putting a plan together that would be transparent and equal and available to all the districts. So Bascom Newrigo, whoever wanted this person, it would be the same. I think we're going to end up going into separate discussions with various districts, including Betsville, Adams, and Green Springs. They're on the agenda for Thursday. They're going to make a presentation or make a request for the commissioners to begin discussions with them. So I think each district will have maybe a bigger picture discussion, and each district may move in a direction quicker than others. So I think this concept that we're talking about is for everybody, and I'd like to begin with offering all the districts this to let you decide where it fits and how often you could use it, if that makes sense.
And Jim, this isn't decided or gospel or anything, but that's not a fixed number. If somehow there's a need for more, we'll have to figure that out. So that's a starting number.
Okay, what about if one of our people gets sick and we need somebody tomorrow for an 8-hour shift or 12-hour shift? Are we going to be able to call Ken and say, hey, we got an emergency? Do you have anybody available that we can bring in? Is that going to be possible?
Well, we're getting into the weeds on that, but Ken, you can
Sure.
defer it or answer it, whatever.
My answer will be depending on the number of people they let me hire, how we pay for them, who's available, and any number of factors that falls into that. But absolutely, if I can make it happen, I will certainly make it happen before I would want to keep a squad out of service. So going back just briefly to you asked about 4 full-time people. Yes, and remember, when we hire 4 full-time people, that means we guarantee those people they will work 40 hours per week, or at least the minimum of what the county requires is 36 hours a week, or greater than 35 to be considered full-time. And those people will get full-time benefits. So it would behoove us to utilize those folks effectively and make sure that they are gainfully employed while they're here, not just sitting because nobody wants them, if you know what I mean. Because we hire them, we're going to be paying them. And the pay is, like just as Tony said, it's and as you can see on this document, cost per unit hour, that's 2 people is $73.06. So half of that is 1 guy. So this document is a utilization hourly response, and it shows you how much people cost. And to have a full-time ambulance, full-time with full-time staffing, it takes 8 FTEs, 8 full-time equivalents, because to have 1 crew, you need 6 people on duty, or 6 people working, A, B, and a C shift, 2 people at a time. EMS is usually pretty fixed as with the costs go, until you get into overtime, and also call-in, like you were suggesting, Jim, is definitely going to be a part of it. And once we get to the phase where we actually are hiring these folks, that would be something that I would ask them to do, and that's be available for short notice call. As you know, having had people work for you over the years, some people are very good at that and some people aren't. But we try to get people that are going to be flexible, and also we would make it available to, if we are allowed to eventually hire part-time people, that would be an excellent opportunity for the part-time people to pick up unscheduled hours if they're available.
I think that'd be a good idea to have so many part-time people that if a squad needed somebody in 4 hours from now or tomorrow or whatever, that they could call you and somebody would be available to go run that shift or whatever. That would be really handy, I think, for everybody.
Right, but also that goes back to the original document that we all discussed that talks about direction and control. Personal responsibility and professional responsibility is pretty important, and that's why the schedules are important. I realize people do get sick and people end up with COVID positive tests and things like that, and they can't come to work. But as long as we don't have that happening on a weekly basis where somebody goes, hey, I can't make it to my shift today, and there's no penalty or no punitive action for that, that's where direction and control comes in, because we have to be able to control that, because we won't be able to bail everybody out all the time.
Yeah, I realize that. I guess I'm just asking if it's available or if somebody will be available if we can utilize.
I hope to, in the future, I hope to have adequate staffing for 2 full-time squads plus part-time people to fill in that 8th FTE, as you see on this document. We hire 7 full-time people, and then that 8th one would be a part-timer. And that way we can offer the job to some of the folks who don't want full-time jobs, but would like to have part-time on-call available to them. And they can schedule that 30 days in advance, but also be available for short notice call-in. And that's how I started at Lifelight, was a PRN position as an on-call guy, and I got the reputation of being available. So when they called me, I showed up, and you can make some good money doing that part-time.
Okay, so we need to maybe continue to talk about the bigger picture end of things here.
Absolutely.
Stacy, if you can take that document down so we can see folks, thank you. The big question, the big thing we want to resolve this evening is the concept is to have some full-time people available for the county that could be distributed throughout the different districts when needed. The big question that we have of everyone, and I know there's a lot of questions that, they get deeper into the weeds, but at this point, we just need to know, do you think that concept makes sense? Would you be willing to participate both from a standpoint of bringing people on and also reimbursing the county for part or some of the expense? And should we move forward with this idea, or do you have any other ideas out there that you think make more sense than this? Steve?
Yes, hi. This is Steve Nader with Bettsville Ambulance with JLB. And I guess my question is, and when I'm seeing $36 an hour, and I don't know what you figured per hour that they're actually getting paid, but I'm assuming it's somewhere in the $20 an hour range to be a total cost of $36 an hour.
It's someplace north of 15, yeah.
Yeah. And the question I have, or the concern I have, is when we hire, say we need one person, we hire that person and they're making somewhat north of $15 an hour and doing the same thing as the volunteer of the $3.50 an hour. Is there going to be an issue where our volunteers are going to say, I'm doing the same thing as this guy, why is there so much difference in pay? And maybe I need to just hold out and they're going to pay me that $15 an hour as well. And
that's a good point, Steve. That's a good point, sure.
Yeah, we talked about this, trying to fill in by hiring somebody. At the time we were talking about it, we were thinking it would cost us quite a bit less than that. And we had that concern, and we thought maybe we would lose our volunteer base further by doing this. It would start to help us out, but then would go backwards because our volunteers would say, hey, I want paid like the rest of the other guys.
Well, my immediate answer, Steve, would be the fact that we do have the echo unit, and it's kind of the same thing. Those folks are full-time people. They're getting paid a full-time wage. And they do, in essence, the same thing that the volunteers are doing. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I understand. I understand where you're coming from, but that concept, if you will, has already been started, that we have full-time people filling in from an echo standpoint.
Mm-hmm. So, and that kind of draws another thing. We only have a pool of so many people that are qualified to be EMTs. If you're hiring people, obviously, it sounds like 4 full-time people. So if you start adding part-time people to it, you are actually drawing away from our pool of volunteers to fill your slots. And
wouldn't they be our slots?
I hear what you're saying, yes, but we would lose, if a volunteer was willing or able to work, say, 20 hours a week, and now because that's all the free time he has, and he decides to work 10 hours a week, get them paid by the county, that's 10 less hours a week that they have to volunteer for our squad, is what I'm saying. You're right, they're all working for the county, but by hiring more people, unless if they come from outside our pool, will not gain us any more hours.
Truth. That's truth.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of moving parts there that we don't know for sure how that plays out. But, one of the things I was thinking about in that vein was that, now you have a full career track for somebody who wants to be an EMT. So, if your desire and goal is to be an EMT, and there's thankfully people who want to do that, I thank you all, that, you can be a volunteer, a compensated volunteer, get your training, and then that there's a career path for full-time employment with good benefits and a professional working environment. I think that may actually bolster our numbers, because now there's a monetary reward at the end if you're good. So I think there's a couple moving parts, but I hear you, Steve.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's quite well made, Steve. We don't want to cannibalize the group that we have now, right? And that could happen, but Shane's point's well made as well.
Okay.
Tony, at the beginning, you said the county has a $300,000 and it's $36 per hour. So what would the county pitch into that towards, like NBS? Like, so would our cost be $36 an hour, or would you guys be throwing in a cost of that, or a part, some of that? No, because we're sitting here all on our calculators, like, okay, $36 an hour, that's $45,000 a year. We're, trying to figure out our budgets on the fly here. So,
Well,
Yeah, I'm going to watch Tony answer this, because this is the $1 million question, right?
Yeah.
well, it's
Okay, what's some music to dance with, Tony?
a little Frank Sinatra for me right now. Probably. This is no, I think, it's a great question. Those are the cost. And those may not necessarily be your costs. I think the commissioners, we have to discuss, what number we would come up with. But I'm speaking for myself. I would be willing to discount that and make it favorable so that the districts utilize these people, and that we can kind of work together to test this pilot. And that's something I think we could do to help. In return, I'm just asking that, I'd just like to see all the districts take advantage of this. And so that's our cost, $36.53 an hour to be exact. And I'm willing to extend that offer out at something less than that, but maybe we can have that discussion between now and the next meeting.
Well, Andrew, it's a double-edged sword, because the reason that we're asking about participation is if the county hires 4 full-time people at $300,000, the county's on the hook for $300,000. If those folks don't get utilized a high percentage of the time, we're already giving them to you at a discounted fee, right? Because if they get utilized, let's say 50% of the time, then if we charge you full, we would only get reimbursed for 50% of the costs that the county has directly. If they are utilized at a higher percentage, then our reimbursement rate is higher, and we can discount it further to the districts. That
was my answer, Commissioner Kirschner.
So as we've said, it is kind of a moving target, and our sincere hope is that we would end up with 6 or 8 full times that would be reimbursed on a regular basis, and at some point would understand exactly what the costs are, so that the ambulance districts themselves can hopefully put a levy on the ballot that would be sufficient to cover those costs. And then the city or the county, we would come up with an agreement as to what percentage the county would eat, for lack of a better word, and what percentage ambulance districts would have. But I am in full agreement with Commissioner Thomas and Commissioner Paradiso that it should be some type of discounted rate. But please understand that we also have to make sure we have as close to 100% utilization as possible, because if we don't, then those costs we have to cover on the county level. So that's why we're asking for the ambulance district's cooperation and participation at some level, and as high a percentage as possible in order to justify the decision.
I think it's important to note here that any costs that are not covered by the joint ambulance district will be funded out of general fund. So we have to be careful because there's very little wiggle room in the county's general fund. And when I brought Todd Schroyer on to speak at the meeting that he spoke at, he explained how that works. And some of these costs are derived from his budget, as well as the Sandusky County EMS budget. And these costs are real. That's what it costs. So I'm not inflating numbers to, I don't know what I would do with it. It's taxpayer money.
I thought it'd be more than that.
Just remember that.
I think, and again, the big picture, gentlemen and ladies, is that at this point in time, you have got 3 commissioners who are willing to try to resolve this problem. You got 3 commissioners who are willing to spend money out of the general fund to help get the problem resolved. I don't know that that will always be the case. Maybe it will, but at this point in time, we have a strong desire, all 3 of us, to resolve this issue to the benefit of the people that put us in office. So we're asking for your cooperation in trying to get that done.
To answer your question from Bascom EMS, we are in favor of using your full-time people.
Thanks, Jim.
So Ken, if we take 40 times 4, we'd have 168 man hours a week that would be available.
Right.
Is that correct? Throughout the 5 districts?
Yeah, exactly. And I think another thing that's important to remember is until we have suitable quarters in any of the areas, suitable meaning that it's fit for 2 personnel to live in overnight within all of the EEOC guidelines, we would not be able to overnight in your stations, but we would be able to cover the initial 12 hours of the day every day. And we can even, what we used to call back in the old days, the power shifts. So like on Sundays, when this county is notoriously EMS, we need EMS a lot on Sundays, Saturdays, and Sundays. We can actually have 2 crews on duty because we would do some overlap. And scheduling could be any number of variables wherever we need it, but we would do it to our benefit so we have the most number of squads available immediately. And I think that the 168 hours in a week, remember, there is 168 hours in a week. That's how many there are, but we need 2 people during that time. So we're covering about half of those hours with the full-time people that we're going to be hiring. So, which falls right in line with what we have available to us in the districts now, is we don't necessarily need a quarters. We just need a place for them to hang out during the day so they can be on station. And with that comes some policy changes like shoot times. Once you're on station there, we were going to have a policy for a response that you're out the door within 2 minutes. And that goes along with the scheduling policy that's going to change and all of the different personnel policy manual stuff that comes from the county and through our HR department. So there's a lot to it and there's a lot of added costs there. Public employees are notoriously more expensive than private employees. And if someone wants to research a private venture, make sure you ask what employee costs versus employer costs are before you make a comparison that's unfair to the public model, because the public model includes things like PERS, and we don't pay Social Security, and there's a lot of things that we pay at a higher rate, and our government accounting folks can explain that way far better than I can. And that's why I used hard information that is factual that came from records requests from 4 to 6. I'm not sure how many Stacy actually got of records requests from other EMS agencies. So those numbers are real. And I think with the 4 full-time people, once folks get a taste for being able to have some free days and not have to schedule themselves as volunteers 200 to 300 hours a month, we can actually take full advantage of the paid personnel. And I think that this will grow, but we have to let it grow. And to echo Commissioner Kirschner's point, all you guys out there that are volunteers and part of this system, I see some of you on the line, what he said is factual. We have a board right now that's ready to move. If we miss this opportunity, it may not happen again for another 20 years. So let that sit there, think about it, because it's important.
Okay, so we know what we're not right a large percentage of the time. So there must be some criticism out there and concerns. Don't be shy, because we need to get, this is the first meeting of just getting input here, folks. And we're not gonna have any personal vendettas against anybody. If you got something that you don't think is right, or that needs to be changed, or some other solution that we're not coming up with, please tell us, because we are here and ready to listen. It's okay. We can be wrong.
And one of the things I would say too, while we're waiting for somebody, is we've all individually had different conversations with different folks from the different ambulance districts, and we don't always get the same message. So that's why we wanted to all be on the same call. If there's just something on your mind, it's good to make sure that we all hear the same thing. So.
Hi, this is Adam with Bloom Studio again. I just wanted to kind of go along with what Ken was saying and what I stated earlier. With our coverage being nearly 100%, I think part of that is because there is no backup to rely on. I could see us utilizing a full-time unit on a somewhat regular basis, just to help relieve those people that are possibly burnt out.
Good.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to show you what the selflessness of some of these volunteers are, one of my personal friends, and I won't name him, right now is delaying a knee replacement. He needs a knee replacement, and he's delaying it so he can keep his squad in service. He's trying to talk his doctor into doing a meniscus repair just to remove a little bit of cartilage so he has more mobility so that he can run ambulance 200 hours a month. That makes me cry, because he's my friend and I want to see him taken care of, and he's putting his community in front of his own health. And that's not an uncommon story here. So we've done everything we've done for the past 42 years on the backs of the volunteers. We need to help. I'll stop talking now because I'm starting to get emotional.
I agree with you, Ken. You're right. A lot of the feedback I'm getting from everyone is, Nurgle, we're saying okay on people, but we are one or two key people from, if one of them would miss or go out, then we'd be in a big predicament. Having those 12-hour shifts would be great. And if we did have someone go out, we could probably cover for 45 days. But then, like I said, it kind of did hit home with the people that put all their, efforts into it. And then all of a sudden, if they're not available, then, we'd be hurting a little bit.
Yeah, Andrew, we see the trends of the volunteers, God bless them. But the facts are the facts. The trend of the volunteerism has deteriorated significantly over the last 10 years. Maybe that'll change, but if you look at numbers, and if you're a numbers guy, if 40 active become 20 active, everybody's got some real concerns.
Good.
I have a question.
Yes.
Has anybody found out yet for sure if they work part-time or full-time for the county EMS? can they still volunteer for like Bascom EMS or Newrigo, or does that eliminate their volunteerism?
I can answer that, or I can have Stacy answer that. I think it would probably be better served if Stacy answered that question. But I think we do have a verbal response. We just don't have anything in writing yet. But I'll let Stacy explain it.
Yeah, Derek's opinion was that they would not be able to run as a volunteer if they are working full-time for the county, because you can't volunteer to do the things that you are being paid to do. So if you sign up to work for part-time or full-time with the county, that would eliminate you from being able to work as a volunteer in your area.
Well, I see why you wanted Stacy to answer it now, Ken.
Well, I think what's important to recall is that all of the districts, all 5 of them, soon to be 4, which I think is a good thing in the AVR area, AVR Bloom Scipio, I think are going to do well together. But what's important to remember is that all of those districts run for the Seneca County EMS system. So the name on the box actually means something. And to labor, it means that if you're a volunteer, you can't get paid. We can't ask you to volunteer to do the same job that you are getting paid to do. It's, I know I've used several analogies in the past. I'll just leave you with that. And we're waiting on that to be written in a document so that we can share it. We just recently, in the last couple of days, actually got that information, Jim. And I shared it with Kevin Reinhardt earlier today via phone call.
Steve Nader, I have a question. Is that going to also include ECHO, or is ECHO considered not the same job? Because we have volunteers that are running ECHO currently.
The ECHO is an exception because the ECHO doesn't sit station at any one of the districts. He is a central unit that is utilized in leadership and ALS coverage to the entire county. And I thought that was a little strange of an answer, and that's why I really wanted to wait until I see it in writing. But that was the answer we received. And, you know, it's one of those things that Derek always said, if you don't like the answer, don't ask the question, because he's going to give you the answer. And I don't know exactly how that's going to be written, but I'm looking forward to that. And that's the best answer I have for you, Steve. And I wish I had a better one, but I'm no lawyer.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So I would like to, Commissioner Kirschner, I don't know how we segue here, if Stacy or Ken, but I'd like to make a proposal that we reach out to each of the districts by email, you know, in the next week. I don't know when they all meet, and that the districts take this under advisement and discussion with amongst themselves, and then email back to us I guess we would be interested in this, or we could use this. Forget the cost right now. Allow us to, you could add a line, you know, providing the cost makes sense if you want to, but I think it would be a good exercise to get that back, give it to you, Ken, let you kind of look at it. And then we can have the financial discussion. We might need 3 people. We might need 4, our mindset's 4. Let's see what everybody, you know, after you guys have an opportunity to talk about it, what you would like to start out with. Again, this is just the first step. We're in budget mode here at the county. We're thinking maybe as early as February 1st, starting this. Can I throw that out? We haven't really talked about it, but I think that's kind of a realistic timeline till you get everything set up. I'll pause, and Commissioner Kirschner, Thomas, what do you think?
Well, I think that's a good segue into stating that we would like to do this on a monthly basis. and we're trying to determine whether Monday night or Tuesday night works better. There was some conflict with Mondays, I think, among some of you. But we're thinking of the second, either Monday or Tuesday of each month until we feel like we've got a resolution and we're all heading in a direction we feel comfortable with. So if you could let me know what you think, either a Monday or a Tuesday. And again, we'll put that in the email, huh? When we ask you about what services you think you could use and how often you think you could use them, we'll also pick a couple of dates out, and hopefully we get a response that we'll be able to all agree on. But we're going to meet monthly with the townships at your pleasure until we feel that we're heading this ship in the right direction.
Just a correction there, Mike, with the districts. I know what you meant, but.
Yeah, I think eventually it's going to be everybody that's involved. At this point, this meeting would be just this group, unless something happens in the next 30 days. But right now, that would be the plan.
I would recommend
Anything to add to
talk to
that?
your schedulers.
Shane?
Yeah, no, I like it. I think that's the direction we're moving. If we can get responses back from people in writing that gives us, the couple highlights. Yes, we're gonna give you a 45-day draft and a 30-day hard schedule, and using our forecast, we think we're going to need between, these hours of personnel in 2021. And then that gives us a good number to budget off of, and we can move forward, and then we can keep these discussions going. So I think that's a good spot to be. But time is of the essence, so we need buy-in sooner than later.
And the only other thing I'd like to add, Commissioner Kirschner, and again, I don't think we can get in the weeds, but if there's 4 districts and there are 4 Friday nights. So I think you might want to also, we could use this many man hours, and these would be our preference. These would be the preference days or shifts. So you could look at that, Ken. If everybody wants the same time, you would have to work through some of that a little bit before our next call, I think.
So, okay. So that's what we'll do is send the email out, come up with a couple of dates, and ask you for your input as far as how much participation you'll feel comfortable with. We will, as commissioners, continue to discuss how much of the cost we can pick up, but one of the variables will be how much percentage of the time can we actually assume that this group would be working. I would be remiss if I didn't say next month, Commissioner Thomas probably will not be on this call. And I would like to offer my thanks to him for all the work that he's done on the EMS front. This has been something that we've worked together for 4 years at various times. I think it's as serious as it's been at this point. So I offer my thanks and gratitude to Commissioner Thomas for his time with this. Anything, Jimmy, you want to open it up? Is anybody, in the spirit of commissioners' meetings, if anybody has anything else they'd like to say, now it's time for open comment.
Yep, they can hit the unmute button if they want to come forward.
Okay, whether it be EMS or whether it be the museum, whatever you have on your mind.
I have a question for Ken.
Yes.
Did you get any applications? And how many?
I've gotten 6 so far.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah, I've had 6 so far. I think people are waiting to hear what we're going to pay. I'm going to go ahead and put that out right now just for fun, because maybe you guys can help me spread the word, because we didn't put that in the announcement because I didn't know. But our goal is to pay $13, $14, and $15 an hour respectively. EMTs at 13, intermediates at 14, paramedics at 15, which will also increase the echo a little bit because the echo at that time, as soon as we hire some full-time folks, is going to take on the role of EMS supervisor, shift supervisor. And but that's what we're going to be paying. And we had 6 applications so far. I'm looking forward to getting a bunch more. We don't pay that great, but we are competitively priced, hourly wise with the region. And that's why I took advantage of my connections at the Chiefs Association to find out what other agencies pay. And that's why numbers are real. These are very
Just
real numbers.
curious.
Sure, yeah. Thanks for the question. Shane,
All
I,
right.
Mike, I really appreciate your help and your input and your leadership in this, all for the last years that I've been here. And you're a voice of calm in the storm sometimes, and I appreciate that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I would be the storm.
Thanks, Shane. Yeah.
Keeping Stacy calm. Hey, Stacy, does the Steelers play tonight?
I think they're playing right now.
Oh, boy. Better get her on that.
Yeah, 17-17.
Oh, wow. It's a good game, too.
I could tell you're paying attention to this meeting, Stacy.
I am.
Anything else out
Thank
there, Jimmy?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I wish
Thank you,
everyone would
everyone.
stay healthy, please.
We'll formally be on next month.
Yep. See y'all.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott.